Oh my goodness. We are live. This is episode.
Hey, what's up?
Is this 3 or 4? 4?
Yeah, this is number 4. I mean,
4,
so
wow.
far we've generated 6 of the best hours of live streaming on the internet.
I gotta say, some of
Undoubtedly.
it's been a little suspenseful too. Hopefully, no hurricanes today. We're both struggling with the heat, but
yeah, some of it's been a little bit painful to I'm sure to watch and to be in. Y'all, if it's painful to watch, imagine being on this side of it. It's terrible.
Well, we are. So we are. Let me pop up my screen here. Let me do the things.
What's up, Ash from India? What's going on? Glad to see you in the chat.
Welcome. Okay, I will pop over to my screen. Here's what's going on here, to the best of my knowledge.
What are we doing?
Hello, everybody. Okay, so we have this website that you and Cecil built 5 years ago with Azure storage and View and Azure functions. Pretty
Front
old
door.
versions.
Yeah.
Yep.
We used every Azure service available, all 463 of them, to make a single page web application.
Spending billions of dollars per second on a single page web app.
Every second, yeah.
So we have been rebuilding that. This is our public GitHub repo. We're going through. We actually have a project, which is here, where we're doing some stuff. I think we're kind of on track with this. We crossed a bunch of stuff off last week.
Yeah, last week we killed it. That was amazing.
Yeah.
The most incredible 2 hours of programming ever.
So we actually have the main page reading from the Cosmos DB database through an Azure function. And then, so I think we're ready for this one. We're going to be implementing save and update stuff. A question from Victor, and I'm actually curious here.
Does the project stay within the free tier? Yeah, so it's on the Cosmos DB free tier. It's on the, functions is, you have to call a function so many times to even get charged. So that's not a problem. But front door is used to like glue it all together, and that ain't free. Let me just tell you.
Well, it was used in the original version. It's not going to be used in the new.
Yeah. So going forward, we'll be on the free tier of everything, right? Static web apps, you get like 9 apps free. We won't be using any of the enterprise stuff there. We don't need any of that. And we get all of this stuff that we were previously using front door for free as part of static web apps. And we'll stay on the free tier of Cosmos DB because we have one collection and it's not complicated. It doesn't contain so many items.
Yeah. And there's probably stuff we could do if we needed to tweak our cost in Cosmos too, I bet. I don't know.
We could, but I don't think we'll even need to be off the free tier. I mean, we're doing all of this on the free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So, I mean, I guess we could just kind of pop right in. So our plan is we're going to work off my computer this time. Slightly scared, but I think we can do this. And then we will be popping over to your computer for the front end stuff.
Correct.
So here's what we had for, and I was confessing to Burke, I've actually been lately working in VS Code more than VS, but so I had to get reacquainted a little bit here. But there is some really fancy stuff in here, Burke. I don't know if you've seen all this stuff lately. For instance, it knows we've got GitHub Actions.
Oh,
and
no, I didn't know that.
When I click on this, normally in VS Code, I think you'd be using like a YAML editor thing.
Yes, you see the raw YAML, although I think there is a Actions extension. I just haven't tried it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and this you can click through and say, hey, I'd like to see the YAML and edit it directly. But this is pretty neat. You can go through and it has like integration, go directly to GitHub and all that kind of stuff for the pull request.
No one has ever said, I'd like to see the YAML and edit it directly.
Right.
Those words have never been spoken by a human being.
Man, it's funny. Yesterday, I was partly working on, we do the Visual Studio or the .NET blogs using Markdown in GitHub, iterate on everything there, and then publish to WordPress. And there's this sync thing. So people are authoring stuff in Markdown, but there's some front matter up the top that's in YAML. And if you get it wrong, for instance, you include a quote, you include a colon in your title or summary, then it's invalid YAML because that's also a delimiter in YAML. And then it throws this weird error. Anyways.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah. Then there's no like runtime check. Just deploy it and find out whether or not you got that right. And just repeat that process as if it's 1985. And that's all the tools you have. Anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Good times. Okay. So last time we wrote up this get link. Right at the minute, like finish it right at the very end.
We did. And just as a recap, we had a hard time figuring out bindings because it would have been relatively easy for us to just connect to Cosmos DB and write a query. But the right way to do it with functions is to use a binding and let the infrastructure handle the connections and all of that stuff and just write the query, which is what's happening here.
And, I spent a bunch of time. I'm trying to balance like studying up, being ready, not coming in totally, like, hey, what's up? But I'm trying not to like write it all ahead of time, and so like I experimented, got some code started and then kind of backed it out. So I will be like doing this live. I will say from looking at stuff that I understand now a bit more of the docs. Like everything, it's like I had to actually read through. Let me see. Maybe should I go there? No, let's go here. When I read through the docs a bit more, I actually like took some time to read it. And this thing here with the output binding. Is this it? Yes. Okay. So this is like not super clear why they're doing it. There it is. So they use this multi-response, and I think this is the right way to do it. And here's why. Let me talk this through and see if I get it right and interrupt me if I'm wrong. There are triggers and bindings and functions. Triggers just kick something off. So like, for instance, you might think, hey, let's use a Cosmos DB trigger, but that only is going to kick off your function when your Cosmos DB changes, right? Like, so we don't want to use a trigger often of Cosmos DB.
Well, okay, so wait a minute. A trigger says when the database changes, call the function?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
And you write that in the functions. You're basically like, call this function when the database changes.
Exactly. So I can imagine you could do some interesting stuff. Maybe if you wanted to do some back-end work or you wanted to optimize your database or you wanted to use it as a queue or something.
Does it pass the change as well?
I think so. And I think you can hook it up with a query also. So you can, yeah.
Interesting.
So it is interesting, but not what we're doing here. We're using a function, an HTTP endpoint. So we definitely do want this HTTP trigger. So here they've got an HTTP trigger. But the problem is, so now you can have bindings. You can have input and output bindings. Input binding is what we used before because an input says, get me data, like pull data from the database. So if we look at our existing thing, this is by the way, I want to fix this. You're not going to be mad.
Can you word wrap in VS Code? You can in Visual Studio, but you have to turn it on and like.
You can.
Do y'all not do that? Is that not a .NET thing? Y'all don't word wrap?
I mean, normally I think people just kind of actually make it like, something like this.
Oh, gotcha. They just do it themselves.
Yeah. I mean.
What do you do, chat? Do you word wrap? Let us know. I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I know you can, but I'm just like, I would do something like this anyhow. So here, we're using an HTTP trigger, and then we are using an input binding, Cosmos DB input. And then the input is doing a query on the database.
Right.
So that pulls data. Then there are output bindings, and an output binding is for putting data into the database. Right. Now, the interesting thing is if you want to do an update, right?
That's putting something in.
Because, an update, you want to maybe read and then update and then write all at the same time, which is kind of a little of both. So
Why? This is such confusing terminology to me. Why is there an input and an output? Why not just connect to the database and let me do whatever I want? Why does it matter?
Which is what it looks like they originally did. Like when your existing code is actually just saying connect to Cosmos DB.
Right.
And I'm not sure why they did that. It may be more efficient. It may be, I don't know, safer in some way. It may be
That's super confusing. And I would think that an output binding means stuff's going to be going out. And an input binding means stuff's going to be coming in, but it's reversed. An input binding means stuff is going out.
So I think the way to flip it around is, the way to think of it is input means input to the function. Output means output from the function. So those input and output are created by the functions people, if that makes sense. So it's input to the function, output from the function. Again,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Now here's another wacky thing is I'm 7 to 8% sure that an input binding can also update the database. But it's not in doc stuff, and I'm not really, you know what I'm saying? So you actually have connected to the database, and I think you can then make modifications. But so all that talking to say, this is an HTTP function that has two outputs. It's a multi-output. And the reason is because it is doing a, it is updating a document and it is sending an HTTP response. So there's two outputs. One output is HTTP response because it's an HTTP endpoint, you know, so that your caller can know like success or get some JSON.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it also, because of the way bindings work, it also has an output binding to Cosmos DB. And that actually is up here.
Wait a minute. Is this are we doing an update? We're doing a create, right? Are we doing a create or do we do an upsert currently? Because what we're trying to do is create the whole list, right? Like I'm going to give you a whole list and you're going to create that list in the database and then return back to me success that's happened.
Yes. So I think first of all, for the create, we're just doing an insert. But regardless, we still kind of have to, we're creating an output to Cosmos DB and we're creating an HTTP output. So it's doing both those things.
Okay.
I think I'm talking through it. This is my like reading all the docs, getting ready to go. So one other thing that I did was I looked at this GPS, you know, Gwyneth, right? She's awesome. So she wrote this up. It's, I don't know if I can zoom it enough that it's usable. But so this is an example from Azure Functions University. And Azure Functions University, there's a bunch of community people, Mark Dwecker and some other people. And then Gwyneth has, it looks like this pull request hasn't been merged yet. I hope they do merge it. This is a pull request to add on Cosmos DB. And so what she does in hers is two things. So first of all, she has a function with an HTTP trigger. She has an input binding on this to read from the database. And then it is on this player output type. And if we look in her models, player output type has an output binding. So again, crazy confusing. I read through this 90 times. I read through the docs 7,000 times. I think this is the way we want to do it, though.
Why do you need to put an output binding on your model? A model is just a structure because we're in a typed system. Otherwise, you just return JSON.
Yeah. I think it's because the output binding is what actually updates the database. Because this is not, we're not trying to get JSON out here. We're trying to update, we're trying to write to the database.
Well, we are getting JSON out, and I'll tell you what we're getting.
I mean, yeah, we are. But the main thing we're trying to do is put data in Cosmos DB.
This is true.
I'm talking. This is we're doing the two developers arguing over coffee before writing some code.
All right. Are we ready to write the function then?
I guess so.
All
I don't
right.
know. I'm low key scared, but I think it'll work out. Okay.
I'm just testing to see what we're expecting back from the function here.
Yeah.
If I
Okay.
send what we send.
It's great to see a lot of repeat viewers here. We got Alana, we got Janisku, we got Victor. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so let us pop over here. I'm going to, in here, do a few things. Thing number one that I've been wanting to do, I want to delete this weather forecast function. I don't think we're going to be forecasting any weather in our application.
Well,
Cool.
I mean,
business model?
No, but how will we know how to make HTTP requests?
Oh, okay, fair. All right. It's on the chopping block, but we'll leave it. It gets a stay for now.
All right.
Okay. Thing number two, I'm going to go in, add a function. So right click, add new Azure function. Exciting times, add a function. Okay, so previously, I think you called this save link. Save links.
It is called, that's a great question. Let me look here in GitHub. What did Cecil call it? Cecil called it in the source, get links, save links, update list, link operations. I think he's got, there's user info, task, generate QR code, delete QR code. It's save links, I believe.
So, I mean, should I just go with that and let's stay with what it's already called and rename it later if we want?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah, let's just stick with it because that's what we're, well, but we're not. But we are because this function handles both the create scenario and the update scenario that we'll have later on when a user's logged in and they make changes to their list. Or we can just create a separate function that does the update.
So I'm tempted to just call it what it was called before and then refactor it later.
Okay, let's do that. Save links is what it is.
Okay, save links. So I've got this ultimate hacking keyboard, which is neat. It's got one funky thing where there's like a invisible thumb rest where if I put my left thumb down, it like exits out of what I was doing, which is super awesome when I've typed something really long. So I got to get used to it. Okay.
That does not sound like a productive keyboard.
It's pretty neat, but I'm still getting used to it. It was a good. Okay.
Hey, can you increase like font size or screen resolution or something? It's super tiny.
Yes. Okay. So
maybe make it like, can you make your monitor like 1920 by 1080?
It is 1920 by 1080. Okay. Here, let me try. I'm gonna go out of here. I'm gonna go. Let me see if this works.
You can go ahead and create it. It's fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's better. That's better.
So, and then once I'm editing in the typing code, then I can blow that way up too. That's easier. That's one thing, honestly. I was messing with that some this morning and it wasn't super smooth. I love that about VS Code. You can zoom the whole IDE. Visual Studio, not quite as easy. There's a tweaks extension from Mads Christensen that mostly works to do it. But okay, do we want to do authorization on this? So our options are authorization, anonymous, function, or admin. I think we want to do
anonymous is fine. We went over this prior when this was hosted on functions. We had a function. We had function authentication. We passed a key. This is just like kind of an arbitrary additional level of security that isn't really a level of security, right? Because anybody can see the key in the request and it's exposed all the time. Yeah. In static web apps, though, the functions part of it is obscured by the static web apps infrastructure. Yeah. And so we will control access to that endpoint with a JSON file that will sit in the front end, and we will just deny requests anywhere we like. It's very nice and very easy to use. We'll get there. So yeah, it can be anonymous.
The thing that I like with this too is it doesn't really matter. This isn't a permanent decision. It's something where it'll drop an attribute on if you want to use it, but you don't have to, and you can throw an attribute in later if you wanted to, right? Okay, so doing that, save links. Here's what we get. Now let's blow this up. Decent size.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, the
Good.
right side is still tiny, but
The right side's tiny, and that's kind of a thing. You can go in. I mean, we're experimenting. I can go in. There's environment fonts. So if I go into fonts, I go into this guy. This is, I think, what works, and then we'll decide if we like it or not. So if I go into here, environment, it's somewhere in here, environments here, then it's saying everything's automatic default because that's what they're really pushing you to. And now if I change this, so let's go to, we're off the rails already. Code, well, I don't know,
Cascadia code. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, so let's go to
Font size 9. My goodness.
I know. Okay, here we go.
Boom. That's a little better. Looks a little goofy though. Cascadia code may not be.
Cascadia code is a bad
it might
idea.
not be great for the editor. Find the code.
That looks honestly kind of horrible.
It looks really bad.
Okay. Oh man, we don't want to use.
I don't know what the normal font is for
Calibri,
or maybe 14, a little more. Let's see if that looks better.
That's looking pretty good.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I mean, it's workable.
Nobody wants to watch us mess with fonts. Do you, chat? Hey, McNets, what's up? What's up, Elon? Hope I said that correctly. Thanks for being here. All right, let's make this.
Okay, let's do this. So first of all, here's the stuff that it's got set up by default. It injects a logger, which is kind of nice. Before, the way you got a logger, you had to like create it using the kind of functions thing. This does logging through. Part of the isolated model is it actually uses all the like DI stuff. It configures things in here, whatever. So, so anyhow, that's handy. Logger exists. I don't think we need it to work on get, right? Only on post?
Only on post.
Okay. So I think we can get rid of that. Okay.
Yeah, it's only on post. Verify.
Okay. Actually, should I test it out first? Or I guess, I mean, it's going to work. We can just kind of go first. Okay. So now the thing is, I think we want to start whacking through this this thing here and create a model and throw on the bindings and kind of do that stuff.
Okay, let's do it.
So here we've got an output type which has two things. So it's got so we've got, I think in here, so there's two options where we can put our model. We could put it in the API project or we can put it in the shared project. The shared project is over here and it's got stuff for shared models. Now, I think we want this one to only go in the API project.
Why though?
Okay, the reason here, and this is actually kind of a change from, hey, Fool Snapple. So this is a change sort of from the Vue model. So in Vue, you've got JavaScript models and you've got C# models, right? And you kind of have to translate between. You're sending JSON back and forth. One nice thing that you get with Blazor is you can use a C# model on the front end and back end.
Right.
So that's why you have a shared project. Then in your
and in this case you're going to be creating a link bundle and returning a link bundle, and those models already exist.
They do. Now the one low-key wacky thing is this is like a composite type that includes an HTTP response and a player.
Oh, okay. So can you reference the shared model from this model? Can you say I'm going to return HTTP response and the shared link bundle?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this is if we're doing an update. So this is for the kind of upsert scenario. It can create or it can update.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't know. This code might possibly work, and then if it doesn't, then we'll go from there. Okay. So I'm going
to, because I don't know.
I'm going to create in here a models folder. Add. I'll go models. Okay. And then here we'll go add class. I'm about to show off one of my top productivity features. You ready?
Yeah.
This is, so what do we want to call this model?
Link, what is she calls it? Player response?
Yeah, okay. So we'll say save link response.
Save link response.
Okay, I'm not going to hit .cs. This is my productivity tip for today. You ready?
Yeah. It's a miracle.
Crazy, right? Okay. So now let's go in here.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, right.
Give
Okay.
you 3 keystrokes off of every file. All right.
Hey, don't knock it. You over the course of an entire career, that might move you up from a 9x to a 10x programmer.
Yeah, you never know. She called it player output type, but I kind of like response better because it tells you that this is what it's for, right? It conveys the intent of the object.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, now we can, so this is now a link bundle, I think is the type we're saving.
We are saving a link bundle, yes.
Okay, so link bundle. And this is updated link.
We're not, it's not updated though. It's just new.
All right, I don't know. New link bundle.
New link bundle. Yeah.
Okay. I'm really seeing this as like scratch. We're getting something out there and then we're kind of tweaking it because honestly, the docs, I spent a lot of time reading through docs and there wasn't something that was like, oh, just do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is unfortunate because
yeah. Okay. So Cosmos DB output, I think we can copy a lot of this stuff in from your previous get links, right? So it's kind of this sort of stuff here. It's database collection and connection string. Okay. And I realized I'm not taking quite as much advantage of Copilot as I should be. And then this is actually going on save link response. So this is the thing. We're putting our output binding on the model, which is a little wacky, and we'll see if it works.
That just seems wrong to me. A model is a model, right? We're munging concerns here, aren't we?
Yes, I know. I think it'll work though. I don't know. Okay. It is a response type, and I think some of that comes down to the way, all right, none of that was happy. Okay. Oh, there we go. An extra comma. So the reason for, and I'm totally happy, I would love for somebody to correct me, someone in the chat or you, but what I'm seeing is because of the way function binding works, you have 2 options. From an HTTP trigger that's got an output binding, you need to create a composite that has the thing that's going into Cosmos DB and your HTTP response.
That I understand.
And so that's the binding is going there so that it can work with. So this is, why is that? I have an internal class with a public class. Let's get rid of that. That was also not great. And that. Huh? Why is that? KD. There we go. All right. So the other thing is, and this is, I'm not sure too, but if we want to use this function to also do update scenarios, then it can read and write, which is nice.
Okay.
So, all right. Seeing if we get it wired up. Okay. So that is our response type. Then we'll go into, I'm checking again what Gwyneth wrote. Okay, so that's this team. Here, I can just do my back arrow. Okay. So this is what she's got here. Oh, so this is a put. So that is an update. I think we actually still do want that though, because if we look here, this is also doing their output binding. They have this multi-response also. They put the output binding on the multi-response, and then they put this. So they don't have an input binding here because they don't need it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess we'll do this for this side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So I'm basically going to overwrite our, should I do the whole thing? A little scared. This.
Top ones are just logging, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So do we need to worry about that? Maybe not.
No, I mean, again, this is one of those things where it's like, go back and.
Yeah. Okay. So now save links. So now this. Oh, but it does have that. I'm going to copy over. Okay. Whoop. Oh, no, not that. Whoops. Okay. That was me writing up. I'm speaking at VS Live San Diego.
Oh, very nice.
My deadline for sending in my abstracts. I have a talk I'm excited about called "Solving the Hard Problems in Software Development." So, okay.
Like creating a
function.
Cosmos CP.
I mean, let's not go crazy. Okay, so I'm going to write some invalid code because I'm going to keep the old one and I'm going to keep the new one, or put in the new one, and we'll merge them. Okay, so I'll do this, that, do that. Okay, so I want to get, so we want the save links. It's going to return a multi-response, not an HTTP response.
Okay.
Okay. Run, post, required. I think that's all good. So I think I can. Oh, and then it's also pulling in execution context, and I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe just for logging?
For logging, it looks like.
All right.
It's fine. It won't hurt anything.
Yeah. Okay, so we get that. And then we'll do some deleting. Okay. I'm on my middle monitor, and it's like a little tricky. Do I turn to the side or do I try and work in front? Okay, so we're deleting that, and we may have some code. So now it's not called multi-response. It's called save link response.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's what the model is called.
So that's what I believe we're supposed to do. And then I'll do this. Using API models. And then we'll delete that. Oh, and so then there's also, yeah, okay. So there, somewhere we need to set return the thing. So this needs to return a save link response. Right? And then here's where the save link has two things. It has a link bundle, right? Link bundle.
New link bundle.
Yeah. Equals new. And then this is a link bundle.
Yep.
All right. And then here we've got to like pull the stuff out of the thing, right?
Oh, yeah, because it's in a new link bundle, you're going to pass in, oh, shoot, I don't even know what's in that constructor. Let me look.
Yeah, and while we're at it, I think I can refactor that out.
There isn't one. But I don't know in .NET, like, do you have to have a constructor, or can you just do like that syntax there where it's like, I don't know what you even call that, object literal syntax, where you
you can, I believe. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do that. So yeah, but what are the properties control?
The properties are ID, which is going to be defined by Cosmos DB.
But we don't want to pass in an ID because
we do not want to pass in an ID. No.
Okay. So next up, we want
vanity URL.
Vanity URL equals, and here it's probably going to be passed in.
It is passed in.
I'm going to do, so this is where we need to read it from the request.
That is right.
Posted. And now I think might be a good time where we look over at what was in the previous code.
Okay.
So I think
what he was doing before, he was getting the request body, string request body equals await new stream reader rec.body.read to end async. Here, it looks like this.
Is it what I got on the screen?
Yeah, that's the one. I believe it's those first two lines in the try, just gets the request body. Okay. And the link document. He converts the incoming payload into a link document of type link bundle.
Okay. So this is using JSON convert. Peggy's asking if she missed the One Tree Hill part. I think so, probably.
No, not yet. John's going to get into that later.
Oh, and by the way, also we are going right from our show. This reminds me because Peggy helped set this up. We're going right from this show into the Python Pulse, which starts at 11 Pacific. So it's 10:10 Pacific. At 11, we go into Python Pulse.
Okay, you got 50 minutes.
All right. Well, I do want to point out that I think my code is compiling. So that's something. Oh, well, it's not right now, but here, let's just do this. Let's do that. Let's do control space. So we have
Copilot's trying to help you.
Yeah.
It's like, I think you want all this stuff.
Tab. Sure. Why not? Is that right?
Links equals a new link. Let me look over. No, links are a list of type link.
It's not an array. It's a list.
It's not an array. Yeah, it's a list of type link.
All right. So I'm gonna control Z that, I guess.
You could do links equals new list.
Now there is, if I do, I forget the Copilot thing. You can do like a tab to go between them, right?
The different suggestions?
Yeah, there's like what?
I don't know how it works in Visual Studio. In Visual Studio Code, you can do Control Enter and see all the suggestions, or there's this little bar that appears over the top, and you can cycle through.
So it gave me that the first time through, and then it didn't this time. Let me see if now it's going to give it to me if I like. Okay, so it did give me that, but then it doesn't prompt me. There it is. Tab to accept, but there's no like other options.
Yeah, sometimes that's IntelliCode.
Yeah, that's IntelliCode. What's up there? What's up, Pilot? What's up, Copilot? It's not started. Open?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So I was telling, well, interesting. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. I was telling Burke, I've unfortunately been using Alt plus for next suggestion. All right. Let's do. I've been using VS Code too much lately. I'm used to the things there, but okay. So links equals, and so it's not an array. It's
a list of type link.
All right. Interesting that
the link, the link has
URL
Each
title.
link has an ID, which, if you remember, the ID is just the URL. We don't know why. That's just the case. It has an ID, a URL, a title, a description, and an image. So the thing you're missing is an ID.
Okay.
And the ID would be the same as the URL. And again, we don't know why this is, right? This is real world. It just is. And we'll figure out later why.
Which is an interesting thing, because if we decide we want to change our model around, we have existing data in the database.
Yeah.
We have to think about. So, okay. So that is vanity URL, links. What is next that we need to do? There's, I think, that's true.
No. On the main link bundle, we have ID, which gets set by Cosmos DB, vanity URL, and then there's a what? There's a URL field on the link bundle. Why?
That's crazy.
Hold on. Let me see. What is Cecil doing?
Oh, here.
There's no URL field on a link bundle. We can delete that from the model.
This is we know now what the shortcut key is.
Alt F4.
Yeah. Okay. So we can delete that on the model, and that's awesome.
Yes.
So that was here.
Yeah, that is not a thing.
Right.
So a link bundle has an ID, a vanity URL, a description, and a user ID.
So we don't have that in our existing thing.
We do not have it in our existing model, but you can just add it. You should be able to just add it here.
Okay. It's a string, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So a few questions here. I think short little break. What is the use case for a Blazor static web app? Well, so this case is it's hosted. It is statically hosted, which is nice, meaning it is static files. The code is running in the browser, so we are not paying to run a server, right? So that's nice. It's actually served out of Azure Storage. The original version that you folks wrote was served out of Azure Storage, and then you did magic to make it like run as a Vue app.
Yeah, I mean, it's just JavaScript, for the front end, at least, it's just JavaScript and CSS and HTML. So everything's happening in the browser. I'd say the use case here is a couple of things. Number one, it's for us, it's to see what Blazor can do, right? Like, can it handle this scenario, and what's this like compared to what I'm used to, which is taking a backend, whatever it's built in, and building it with JavaScript on the front end, right? And so the differences for me would be like the model sharing, which is super nice, because otherwise we're maintaining two sets of models in two different stores.
Yep.
I think another one is that we have the option to rebuild it because it needs to be rebuilt. And we want to make a lot of improvements to it as well. And so we're taking this opportunity to dig into Blazor and also set this thing up so that we can make changes going forward.
Yep. So the question, so this is Blazor WebAssembly. And then the difference between Blazor WebAssembly and Blazor Server. Blazor Server, the C# code is actually running on a server, and then it's using a WebSocket connection down to the browser and updating the DOM. That can be easy if you have stuff your server has to do, like connect directly to a database or be behind some sort of like run on a specific server, or you're migrating from legacy stuff that's running on a server, but you need a server then. So for Blazor static web app or a static web app, regardless, your code needs to run in the browser. So, yep. Okay, cool. So and this is a huge point here. So we do have to build APIs, right? So because we need this code to run somewhere, connecting to a database, doing stuff. We have azurefunctions as our lightweight server.
Yeah.
So, Cool.
I mean, unfortunately, when I first started playing with Blazor, I wanted to use Blazor server as well. That felt better to me. And also because you don't have to deliver a payload to the browser. But because we're using static web apps, we can't do that, right? Then we'd just be back in a hosted scenario and be paying for cycles again, which we don't want to do. But I'm with you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I wanted to go that route too.
Yeah. And there is the option, I realize this, I was saying it, and Janisku also brings this up, is that you can have an authenticated client. Like you can have secrets or manage identity and stuff in the client, have it connect directly to a database. But it really is nice having a function backend, and it's free. So, you know.
Well, and in static web apps, you also get like routing, and we can easily control access to those functions, and authentication is baked in. Like the benefits to using functions will be readily apparent after we figure out the goofy syntax to make
and you know,
an otherwise easy thing.
Another thing too, like it opens up options like as AB Code 89 says, like if you have a backend API, you can build like a browser extension, you can build a mobile app, you can build kind of whatever, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we have, I think, almost working code. We have, let me close out a bunch of stuff that is open. Let me close. You know, one of my favorite things that I can do, there's this close all but this. There we go. Save all the things. Oops. Yeah, okay. So now we have description.
Yeah, description.
And user ID.
User ID, yeah, which will be empty for anonymous links.
Okay.
Just an empty string.
Or it's like it really wants me to accept that. I'm gonna do string.empty because I was told that's good. All right.
Okay. Now, I wouldn't use the test vanity URL though, because that one already exists. So it should error out, but we could. So let's just change it and test it because there's other scenarios that we need to check here. Like what do we do if the person tries to create with a vanity URL that already exists? They shouldn't be able to do that from the app, but what if they do? What happens if they try to create a vanity URL that has illegal characters for a URL in it? We have to handle all those scenarios on the server side. We're going to handle them on the client side too, but we have to handle all the validation on the yeah.
And that's an interesting thing when you've got API and this client, right? You got to handle on both ends. Now, one nice thing is, and that's again something with the shared model, shared class, is you can put validation in the shared thing, right? So you can mark a link bundle, you can have like a required, you can say description is required, or you can set attributes in C# and it'll validate them for you. So
I'm looking forward to seeing that because that vanity URL is going to need a regex that is going to make everybody want to quit their job.
Unhappy.
Yeah.
I did notice some things too here. And I didn't know if we wanted to get into it too much, but there's some stuff here where we're using like a crypto service thing. Yeah, here, this like, honestly, this generates a random thing, but I don't think a crypto service provider thing is going to give you anything better. I was honestly thinking of doing like an incrementing by timestamp sort of thing.
But the way that it works now is that you actually get a kind of nice URL. So for instance, like when I created one, like let me just create a new one that has no URL, and it gives you back this like. See here. The response that I got was vanity URL is, oh gosh.
It's going to be like letters and numbers, right?
TISEUD1, right? Like it's a short.
Yeah.
It's not too long. It's kind of like what Bitly does, right? It doesn't just give you back this like you opened a SharePoint link.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. I hate those. I do think, though, it's possible to create something that is basically like encode, because I've long ago, I think I've written code like this, but basically encode the current timestamp in 7 alphanumeric characters.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. I think as long as we can keep it to 7 characters,
Okay.
totally legit.
Yep, this one's 7. So
okay.
So that's a thing that we'll need to get to. Let's okay. So does this code compile? Okay. Let's see over here. It's compiling. It's building, I think. It's building. I mean, it seems like it's gonna.
Looks promising.
Yeah. There's also some other stuff. I don't think we'll get time for it. This is actually kind of like some tricky code going on here, but there is, I do want to hook up Open API. I don't know if you played with this much, but there's some Open API support in Azure Functions. I made you sad there.
I audibly groaned because I don't like this stuff. I don't like Open API. I don't like, what's the other one that we're always trying to cram down people's throats in all of our documentation? What's the name of that thing where it like auto documents your API?
Swagger. I mean, Swagger is open.
That's the. I was like,
those are the same thing. You can be mad at one thing.
Okay, yeah, I'm mad at that one. That's the thing that I just don't like. Not because I think it's bad, but because it's like, yeah, but why? What's the practicality of doing it? I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I will show you one thing that's kind of neat is because like tooling can auto discover it. Let me see if I can bring this up. So like, we'll go in here.
Swagger, that's new to you. Everybody else out there like Swagger with me. I never understand. Like, I guess because you don't ever see this, like in the front end world, you just don't see this, right? I mean, you see a lot of GraphQL APIs, but you don't see. Maybe Swagger is like a .NET thing. Is that possible?
Could be. So here's an example for when you, and this, I know there's tools like this in VS Code too, but basically when you, so here he goes through, creates a thing, it's got Open API set up. It's honestly kind of more work than it should be in Azure Functions. But for instance, here, it's able to discover all the endpoints, right? So you can just click on these things and say, generate a request because there's Swagger documentation for it. And so then you can also create these HTTP files. And then you can just like, this is an example HTTP file that you can use for testing. I'll see if I can sell you on it over the course of the project. It's not something where I can be like, boom, it's awesome, but maybe I'll like, I don't know, I'm putting that on my stretch goals list.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, are you working in an enterprise that has 697 API endpoints? Maybe then you need something like Swagger so you can find the forest of the trees. But like in our case, we're gonna have like
we've got like 2 endpoints, maybe 4, maybe 4. Create, delete. It's like CRUD, right?
Okay. Right, exactly. I get it. I'll stop hating on Swagger. I just don't understand why we have to put it in every single one of our docs.
Okay, so here as an example, it is a scale thing, maybe.
Yeah, certainly. Like at scale, you can't have 1,000 undocumented endpoints, or even if they're documented somewhere else. Like you need to be able to see them right there. So I get it.
Yeah.
Jeff just dropped in to say,
non-EF, just popping on by. Okay, well, I guess
what?
Oh, oops, I clicked the wrong one.
The graceful manatee.
Fortunately, like we're not using EF. I don't mind EF. I think EF's fine, but we're not using it this time. So Jeff, you're in luck, I guess. Okay, so we've got that. We've got that. I think we could run it, and then. So here's the thing. That's part of why I like Swagger, because I would have an endpoint to test against. With this, I've got to actually go out and generate some JSON and do some stuff.
Well, I can give it to you.
Yeah, but then how am I posting it? Right.
I mean, in my case, I would use like Thunder Client in VS Code.
So what you would use in VS is you would create an HTTP file, or you'd use that Endpoint Explorer.
I gotcha. So y'all don't have any tooling that just automatically lets you just like hit.
I mean, it's a little bit more like some stuff. It depends on or it goes smoother if you have Open API set up.
Okay, I'm starting to understand now. It's a
Yeah.
bit of a there's a tooling gap here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it's just kind of like you check a couple of, like, so if I go back in here, let me see if I have that thing going.
Curl from the command line.
So this
So
is a, you add this guy in, you add in that package, and then you put in, so the one thing is it is slightly ugly in terms of the attributes you have to add in. It's a little like,
so can we do the HTTP file like in the
you can do the
meantime?
HTTP file without that.
Yeah, let's do that because I've never seen that. I'm curious.
Okay. It's a little like it's again, it goes smoother if you have the thing. Okay. And I'm used to generating it from the other one. It's something .http. So we'll just see what happens here. Test, whatever, save link HTTP. See what happens? Nothing, apparently. Did it create it? Nothing seemed to happen.
Do you have to stop? It's not running.
It's not running.
What happened?
Did it add to another thing? Did it? It's like hanging. Oh, whoa! What happened? Save link.
Okay, so there it is. It's up. It took a minute.
Yeah. So now you have to like generate the so I can do send request, but I have to create a request.
Okay, here, let me send. I've got one I can just send you.
Oh, you've got an HTTP?
I do. Request? Yeah, let me. So here's a payload you can use. Does it matter though? Because you're not actually reading the payload.
No. And yeah, so I can also use Postman. I mean, there's tons of things I can do. I'm just saying, like, what I would normally do in my, if I was just by myself banging away code, I would add on those 3 attributes. I would have Open API, and then I'd say explore my endpoint, and it would just like work.
All right, I Teams'd it to you.
All right, let's see about this. Teams. Is Teams in the right monitor? Okay, there. All right, so let's copy that. Now I need to also hook up some things with like post. So there's like, oh, whoa, that was interesting. Okay, so if I start to type post. Okay. And then I need to say like what the URL is. And I think the URL is going to be like localhost 7071 something or other.
Yeah, it's 7071, and then it's going to be the URL is just /API/links, localhost 7071/API/links, which you may have to adjust the route on that particular function. It's a RESTful URL, right? So we're calling links with a post.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's expecting because I changed all my font sizes around. It's just kind of like,
overlapping. Yeah.
What is you doing? Okay, so it's trying to run it, but we don't have the function running because there's no function running. Okay, so let's start this guy running. Dun, 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 dun. So we are just going to start. This always happens. I wish, this is my feature request, that debug should be like bold and flashing. That's the one thing I always want to run, right?
Right.
Okay. Start new instance. Yes, sure. Yeah, that's true. There is the Mads has a REST client API. Again, I think you don't really need those anymore though, because that's what the Endpoint Explorer thing does. It discovers them, I believe, using the Endpoint Explorer or the Open API. Okay, let's try and do send request again.
There's no shot this works first time. Yeah. No SSL
SSL.
connection.
Okay, so is it?
It's because you have HTTPS in your post.
Yeah, let's see
Just
what it's
do
at.
HTTP.
Oh, we switched over to HTTP. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anybody need no HTTPS?
Yeah. Care about security?
No.
Okay, something happened there.
Something
404 not found. Is it? It's not API links. It is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to change the function name because it's save links. You need to change this to, or the route. You need to put the route in, and the route is specified, I believe, right there in the decoration. What do y'all call those?
Yeah, in the attribute.
Attribute. It's just route equals links.
Oh, route equals links. So, okay. Yes. Okay. So route equals links. So we'll go here. We will stop the dude. We will go over to.
Wait, yeah, go ahead.
Save link. Save links. Oh, I called the HTTP file by the same name. I'm going to try and go back to looking straight ahead, see if that works. Okay. So this in the, where was it in this dude?
It's in the
HTTP trigger.
It's in the trigger, yeah.
And it's route. Okay, so save link there, HTTP trigger there, and then I do route.
Yes.
Equals
links.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Let us do. So see before, what is my startup project configured as? Maybe I can just do this. Start. I think I configured I configured multiple startup projects, so it's going to start them all. That ain't right. I do want to dig into the. Oh, you know what? That's interesting. It's like, because it starts all the things. It's looking for the project type, and it's not finding them at all.
Looks like it starts.
That. I didn't care about it. Let's. Yeah. It does. Yeah, and so here it's going to be popping up this here that started. Okay. Now let's go to my HTTP file. Let's go to send request. I should have put a breakpoint.
Buddy,
welcome to Azure Functions.
Is that what you sent back?
Yeah. Okay. Let's look here. Save links.
Yeah, you did. And you returned the message, welcome to Azure Functions.
Yeah.
Right, so, did you?
Right there is the message.
Right, but where are you actually returning the response? Oh, response.writeString message. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can check the database.
We can check the database. Now, I'm not sure if it's set how to easily check that on my end.
I can check it on my end.
Okay. You know, while you're doing that, I did look into that a bit. And I can hook it up through connected services. Maybe I'll try that.
Link bundles. Let's see. We've got 1, 2. What did you call it?
I called it
Test 2.
Test 2.
It is in the database.
It's in the database?
Yes,
this is crazy, Burke. I really didn't think
confirmed. Well, okay. To be fair, though, we are not actually posting.
We're not reading data
that we sent into the database.
That's true. We should do that.
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm actually feeling pretty good. We wrote to the database. I did not at all think that was going to happen.
And it worked the first time, pretty much, which...
That's just nutty.
That's silliness. Come on.
Okay. So step 1, I guess, is we want to... where did he do it? He did...
Well, I think first, yeah, he pulls in the request body and he reads it. But in this case, Is there an easier way to just map a request to a model in C#? Can't you just like slam it in? Like in
Yeah.
JavaScript, you just destructure that sucker out of there.
Yeah, there definitely is. And you do. So, I mean, it's a deserializer. I'll be honest. I mean, since we're being real, I would just Google it, right? Or I would try and see if
Copilot's
going to write it for me. So request, here, let's do, I don't know, right here's fine. Okay. So read
read the request body. Yeah, deserialize the request body into the link bundle object. Link bundle, yeah. Okay.
So normally I think this is async. And you need, so there's a thing here, yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Is that going to work? Do you need to like await that or something? I don't know.
So yeah. I mean, so if you do, then you have to make the task. So honestly, I don't think we need to await.
Okay, I don't understand async in C# at all. So
okay, so what I tend to like, I'll tend to use async 2 times. One is when I have to, like the code makes me do it for some reason. The other is when I'm doing some long running thing. So in this case, it's a trigger after a post. We've already been posted the JSON. We're not going to get it from anywhere. So yeah, we can definitely make the method async. We can await. So, I mean, but then I have to change my return type to a task and it's a pain in the neck. I don't think I need to do it because at this point, I've actually got a request. I've already got the JSON. There should be no wait at all. You know what I mean?
I'm fine with it.
It's not
I'm not sure you would pass that. You would pass an interview about building. Yeah, listen, I would not pass a coding interview anywhere if that isn't clear to everybody at this point. I don't know how else to prove it that I don't know what I'm doing.
All so right. Yeah. So again, this JSON is about. It's less. I mean, it's like 100 characters, right? It's like
it's not big. Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be big if you had a list with like 1,000 items in it, but then even still, those items don't have a big structure. I just don't think it's going to be a problem.
Let's make it work and then let's optimize it. Okay. So here now we've got a link bundle. So I think we
don't do that. Don't send us a big request to DDoS.
It's just brutal.
Just wait for that episode and then we'll do it together. You can send the request and we'll optimize it. All right.
So link bundle dot what? That's not what I'm happy with. Link bundle dot result dot.
There it is.
And that's why this is another thing, like, right? Because I did read to string, I didn't do async. So now this is basically where I'm waiting the result. I'm still going to plow ahead bullheadedly and like keep doing this because I'm being a jerk. We probably should refactor it, but I just want to see the code work. Link bundle dot result dot URL.
Victor, what's wrong, Victor?
Victor, everyone wants me to do the async. I think that's what it is. Why does not? I am, because this is actually, I'm adding stuff on the link and not on the ID, right? I need to for each here or something, right?
What?
So the link bundle is a.
Oh, and it has links.
It has multiple links. It could have 1,000 links. It could have 5
Correct.
links.
And for each one of those, you need to create a new link.
So basically what I need to do is create a list of links and then add them to a link bundle.
Is this seriously the best way? How you deserialize off of the request? This is the best way. Like you can't just be like the request matches the model. Just
right. Okay, so you're saying
exactly. Will that work?
I think new. Let me see. Something's unhappy. Is this the wrong type? What's going on? Is it like that? Yeah. I was like, I know it's one character. Just tell me which one character is wrong. Yeah. That's what Victor was trying to tell me.
There's absolutely no way that works. I'm calling shenanigans on that.
Okay, me too. Okay.
Let's find out.
Okay, so I'm going to start this project. I'm going to change my startup projects because we don't need everything running. We just want the API to run. We'll do that. We've got 15 minutes. I think we're going to have a working save function.
Salt Burnham, is that Chris?
Whoa!
Is that you? What's up?
Some star power. Okay.
Yeah, buddy. What's up, man? Good to see you.
Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to create a new vanity link. And I think I can.
Yeah, you need to pass in a different vanity. I mean, it should error out if you pass in the same one, but we're not handling that case yet.
We're not handling anything.
Yeah, so just pass in a different vanity.
Oh, just the vanity link. Yeah, because the links can be fine. And honestly, I think we can do some better formatting here.
Yeah, I don't know why it gave you the links first and what I gave you, but vanity is empty. Yeah, just put test 3. There we go.
Okay. And that's it?
That's it.
Okay. Now I'm doubting about the other stuff. Should I put a breakpoint or just let her rip?
What does it say? What's the body?
Well, the body just says welcome to Azure Functions.
Okay, so it did work.
Maybe.
Let me tell you.
Check your database. Now I'm worried because last time it said test 2 and I don't know where it got that from.
Because yes, it did work. You put it in statically. Now, here's the problem though. We do have a problem. We have a lot of problems. The ID is null, okay? But that doesn't actually matter because okay, so how do I explain this, man? We have an ID. Go back to the link bundle. There's an ID in the link bundle, okay? Capital I, lowercase d.
Wait, what do you mean link bundle?
In the link bundle model, right? That first property there, okay? When it creates the item in Cosmos DB, it creates a field called ID with capital I, lowercase d, and it's null because we're not passing an ID. We want Cosmos DB to create that ID. And it does with a second field called ID with lowercase I and a lowercase d and the actual value. How the heck do we tell Cosmos DB this is the field? Because we're going to need the ID in the response, right? We need it there, but we don't want it going in.
Here's where the chat needs to just tell us what to do. Prayer. Okay, that could work. Do we need a partition ID? We don't need to pass a partition ID, do we? I think our partition ID is in here. I should rename my. Oh, it's in the save link response. That's where we'd put our partition ID. If we needed one.
This is going to be a problem. We need to figure this out because when we go to, because what you don't really want to return welcome to Azure Functions. What you really want to return is the item that was just created, right? You want to send me back the same thing that I just sent to you. And the reason why we do that is because that's what a RESTful create does. You send the thing and it sends it back to you. Only this time it contains the ID of the item that was created.
Yep. I'm with you. That's standard in the, so here you would do, okay, I can see two ways to do that. One is that you fiddle with bindings. The other is that you use a Cosmos DB client and you basically do the insert and update manually. Like, because that's another way I've seen people do. You can inject the document client and then you basically say document client.create, thing, and then you get the response back from it and you deal with that. That's more code. but that gives you, this is where you get to the edge of like,
what if you change ID to be lowercase?
All right. I don't know. So that's on this.
Uh-huh. Will Cosmos DB just like ignore that and be like, here's 2 ID fields? Because let's be honest, y'all, it's a document database. You can do whatever you want. You literally can put anything you want in there. And when I first started using NoSQL, John, because I came from like an Oracle background, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is the future of data storage.
Yeah, I hear you. Bye, Chris. Yeah, so I kind of agree. My feeling on like function bindings is like, yeah, and there is JSON. So that's true too. In .NET model land, you can put a JSON name annotation on it. So you put an attribute above the thing, and then so like, let me try that. Let's go back to that. Let's go up here and we'll do like.
But isn't that just mapping it to the incoming?
Yeah.
It's not going to help.
That changes your
into the database.
Yeah. And this is not right. It's JSON name. Oh. JSON property name. Or maybe JSON name. Then control that. No. Is it JSON property name? So this is a way of doing, this is what changes the mapping from C# to, I'll go back to that and see what happens. Install package system.text.json. I'm surprised about that it's not built in. Yeah. Yeah, JSON property name. So what this does is change. Burke's looking like not a fan of JSON property name.
Well, it's like, it's I don't think it solves our problem, right? Like it doesn't. We need like a Cosmos DB mapping, but we're slapping this thing into Cosmos DB, and Cosmos DB is treating the uppercase ID and the lowercase ID as 2 separate things.
So what I think this is going to do is Cosmos DB will only see the lowercase one from now on, because putting this attribute on there says in C# land, it's uppercase, in JSON land, it's lowercase.
And Cosmos DB is going to respect that?
Cosmos DB will only see the JSON.
Okay, I'm completely skeptical about that. Let's see. Prove me wrong. Hold on, I can just delete this item from the database and you can send the same request right back in.
No, why don't I give it a new vanity? Test 4.
Okay.
We're doing some highly professional work here when we're doing test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4.
Yeah, does Copilot know how to fix it? That's a
So
good question.
you know what? I have Copilot installed, but it's not working, and I really should have. I screwed around more with the Cosmos binding stuff, which actually did work. So that was time well spent, but I didn't play with Copilot in here enough. I'm like spoiled with VS Code usage lately. Okay.
Okay.
Test 4.
Here's the word. It worked.
It worked.
Yes, it did. The ID is now just ID. It's lowercase. The uppercase ID is no longer present in the database. And also, we should do that on all the fields because you don't store, like it's not proper JSON to put capital letters.
Yeah.
Begin properties of capital letters.
So I'm going to do this the cheesy way now, and then I will think about doing it the right way later, because there's actually a property that you can set for the globally where you just basically say.
That is super handy. However magical it is, like I don't understand how that works. That's pretty freaking nifty, man. You can just do all your mapping right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it should look like.
Not exactly there. And there it is, right? And description. So there is a way where you can just say always serialize them that way. And it's like one line, but we have 3 minutes left to go.
Fine. So. Yeah.
And I need to check in some code. So this is user ID?
Yes. It's basically the same, but just in, what do you call this, Pascal case, or what is that?
Oh, now we get to links though, right?
Links is just lowercase.
Yes, but I don't. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Now you pop up.
Was that
okay.
Copilot, or was that IntelliCode? I can't tell.
I couldn't tell either. I'm going to play with this more later. I think IntelliCode is happening. So I need to play with why is this not working, because
it says it's enabled.
Yeah, maybe if I disable this guy. I don't know. We have 4 minutes left.
Yeah, we gotta get this checked in.
Okay, so let's. So we got a decent amount done there. Honestly, we have updates to the database, which I honestly I spent hours and hours reading the docs, and I was like, I don't know. Gwyneth's code is pretty cool, and then we got some good stuff happening. Okay,
yeah, so let's check in. And I think next time I want to revisit why we need to have those annotations on a model object. I understand having a model object for response. I do not understand munging the database logic into that.
Yeah, I hear you. I think what is nice with this is if we want to do updates, we can read and write using this now, which is kind of nice. But okay, so added, save, links. All right, so let's stage them all. Let's commit staged. And then, yeah, so we want to make sure we give enough time for Python pulse. So once we do this, I think we can get set to, okay.
We got 3 minutes before a much better stream is going to be on.
They're going to be so professional.
Yeah, they actually know what they're doing.
Hey, I'm actually though kind of we got some working code going. Yeah, okay, so, there's AutoMapper. There are other things. Actually, we're not really mapping stuff, though. So, I don't know if we need to.
I just pulled changes on my side.
I'm still pushing it.
You are?
Yeah.
No, it says it.
You got it now?
I mean, yeah, I got it. Let's see.
All right. Exciting. Okay.
Yeah, get links and save link. I have a savelink.http file, John. What am I going to do with that thing?
No, that's awesome. That's part of the idea. Now we can move that HTTP file into a testing or verification folder or something.
Yeah, that's perfect. And we can use, I think Thunder Client will actually read those.
Yeah, it's a standard thing. So, yep. which also reminds me, I do want to start looking at adding some tests in, because we have basically, I mean, low key.
I'm joking.
Okay, Cecil had some tests for the C
Yeah,
Sharp.
because he's a real developer and I'm not.
Well, I mean, I'm not big, I'm not hardcore on the tests. I like to have a few.
No, I think that's a great. Listen, don't listen to me. I'm
It's
categorically bad at my job.
Okay, so I think we can wrap up here. We've got 1 minute. We'll allow the next session. Stay around for Python Pulse. And then I think next week we'll be able to start integrating the save thing into the front end, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of front end work to do. So I need to prep. Okay.
All right, let's play us out.
See you, chat. Have a good weekend.